If you have no evidence to offer, let me ask you this. Will you now retract your previous statements that Trump won Pennsylvania in the 2020 election, yes or no?
Oh, Senator, I traveled to Pennsylvania, and let me tell you what I saw firsthand.
Yes or
no?
no?
I didn't talk about California because I was not in California. I talked about
Yes or no? Last time I'm going to ask.
I talked about Pennsylvania because
Mr.
I
Chair,
was there.
I'm going to move on because she's
got a
clearly not
court
answering my
order
questions. And
to
I want to note,
observe.
colleagues, for everybody, members of the committee and everybody watching.
Welcome back to American Mindset, the channel where we cut through the noise and get to the heart of the issues that matter most to patriotic Americans like you and me. Today, we're diving into a heated exchange from a Senate hearing featuring Pam Bondi and Senator Alex Padilla that's making waves across the political spectrum. The left is going wild, but trust me, we've got a lot to unpack here. So buckle up, and let's watch the video.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I begin, I just want to remind us all for the record that the 34 convictions, not indictments, convictions of former President, incoming President Trump were by a jury of his peers. Thank you, Ms. Bondi, for being here today, and I too would like to welcome your family and friends who are here.
Thank you.
Appreciated the opportunity to meet yesterday to learn about your priorities and discuss a number of issues that are important to me. But I got to tell you, as I reflected on our conversation yesterday and as I've observed the hearing today, I continue to have significant reservations on your ability to function as a truly independent Attorney General for your friend. Let's say you keep referring to him, your friend, President-elect Trump. So I hope you can address some of these concerns through your responses to my questions here. Now, the first issue area is something that we didn't get a chance to touch on yesterday. So I actually want to follow up on some of Senator Durbin's questions from earlier about the 2020 election. And to be specific, on the day after the 2020 presidential general election, you traveled to Philadelphia to appear alongside President Trump's then attorney, Rudy Giuliani. And together, you falsely asserted that President Trump had, quote, won Pennsylvania in that election. Now, I want to be clear, at that moment, there were still at least 1 million ballots left to be counted in Pennsylvania. Of course, President Biden went on to win the state by more than 80,000 votes. But in the following days, even after the results were clear, you continued to double down on the big lie, promoting falsehoods about election fraud and cheating without offering any actual evidence. And I remember it clearly because I served as California Secretary of State at the time, and I invited anybody associated with the Trump campaign who was making these claims to come forward with evidence of irregularities in the election or massive voter fraud. 4 years later, I still have seen none. So I ask you today, do you have any evidence of election fraud or irregularities in the 2020 election?
So, first, Senator.
Yes or no? It's a yes or no question.
First, Senator.
Do you have evidence, yes or no?
First, Senator. I'm so sorry about the fires to you and Senator Schiff and what you're going through in your states. I have to say that.
I appreciate
think
that,
all
but
of
my
our,
clock is
I'll
ticking,
answer
and I
your
want to
question. All
hear
of our
your answer.
hearts go out to everyone in California for what you're facing right now. I'm glad you asked the question about Pennsylvania.
It's a yes or no question.
I was
Do
hoping
you have
someone
evidence, yes or
would.
no?
Senator, I was hoping you'd ask the question.
Do you have evidence, yes or no?
I traveled to Pennsylvania.
Do you have the evidence,
I
yes
traveled,
or no?
Senator, to Pennsylvania.
Okay, you're not answering my question. If you have no evidence to offer, let me ask you this. Will you now retract your previous statements that Trump won Pennsylvania in the 2020 election, yes or no?
Oh, Senator, I traveled to Pennsylvania, and let me tell you what I saw firsthand.
Yes or
no? I didn't talk about California because I was not in California. I talked about
yes or no? Last time I'm going to ask.
I talked about Pennsylvania because
Mr.
I
Chair,
was there.
I'm going to move on because she's
got a
clearly not
court
answering my
order
questions. And
to
I want to know,
observe.
colleagues, for everybody, members of the committee and everybody watching, that the attorney who stood beside Mr. Giuliani was making very similar statements. And he has since been disbarred from multiple jurisdictions for making these false claims about the 2020 election in court. And like Mr. Giuliani, as you've noted today, you've taken an oath to uphold the Constitution just as an attorney. And now you're asking us to consider you to serve as the chief law enforcement officer in our country? So it's imperative, Ms. Bondi, that you subscribe to facts and evidence and not politically convenient conspiracy theories. Your job will be, your job will be to protect voters and election workers, not to undermine and dox them. Now, I know that earlier you agreed that Joe Biden is in fact president, but many of the president-elect's inner circle continue to spread the big lie about the 2020 election. Then we'll move on to a different topic.
Senator, you were speaking. May I speak? You cut me off when I was speaking.
When I ask you the next question, you can speak, and I hope you answer, Ms. Bondi.
Well, I'd like to answer the previous one, Senator.
When we met yesterday,
you pointed your finger at me and said you were speaking.
You did not seem to be familiar
let me answer my
with the
question. I'm not going to be bullied by you,
the
Senator
14th
Padilla.
Amendment of the United States of America, which was deeply disappointing.
I guess you
And I'm
didn't want to
hoping
hear
you're more
my
familiar
answer
with it
about
today
Pennsylvania.
after I gave an opportunity to study overnight. So can you tell me and this committee what the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment says?
Senator, I'm here to answer your questions. I'm not here to do your homework and study for you. If I am confirmed as Attorney
You're the one
General,
asking for a confirmation
hey,
vote,
you
ma'am.
cut me off. Can I please finish?
What does the 14th Amendment say?
Senator, the 14th Amendment, we all know, addresses birthright citizenship. I've been a state prosecutor. I've been a state AG. I look forward to, even given your remarks today, working with you and the people of California if I am confirmed as the 87th Attorney General of the United States of America. I didn't take your homework assignment. I'm sorry. I was preparing for today.
So on the 14th Amendment, now you've testified repeatedly to this committee that you will uphold the laws of this country and defend the Constitution of the United States. Do you believe birthright citizenship is the law of the land, and will you defend it regardless of a child born in the United States, regardless of their parents' immigration status?
Senator, I will study birthright citizenship. I would love to meet with you regarding birthright citizenship. Can I answer the
serve as the
question?
Attorney General of the United States, and you still need to study the 14th Amendment of the Constitution? That is not helping me have more confidence in your ability to do this job. One other immigration-related question, and I'll steer clear of the Constitution
I have one
and the
regarding
law.
that I'd like to
Senator
talk about.
Hirona asked you earlier, but I don't think you answered her question. Can you please tell us, do you agree with the statement that immigrants are, quote, poisoning the blood of our country, yes or no?
I did not say that.
I did not say that you said that. I'm asking if you agree with it, yes or no.
I did not say that.
Do you agree with it, yes or
Senator,
no?
my great-grandparents are immigrants.
Do you agree with it,
They
yes or no?
came here from Sicily
Do you agree
through
with it,
Ellis
yes or
Island
no?
when they were teenagers.
Do you agree with it, yes or no?
Senator, let me answer the question.
Yes or no? It's
My
real simple.
great-grandparents came here, immigrated to this country from Sicily, recently went and found each of their birth certificates. We are a nation made up of immigrants. Do I believe immigrants are poisoning our country? No, Senator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I can't wait for the second round.
Same, Senator. Thank you. No, sir. Thank you.
Now, that is the kind of backbone we need in Washington. Pam Bondi was absolutely on fire during this hearing. And I have to say, it's refreshing to see someone stand up to the relentless badgering we've come to expect from the left. Let me break this down for you folks, because what we saw here wasn't just a hearing, it was a full-on ambush. First of all, let's talk about Senator Padilla's yes or no obsession. He wasn't interested in having a genuine conversation. He wasn't looking for thoughtful answers. No, this was all about trying to trap Pam Bondi in a soundbite to fuel the left's narrative. And let me tell you, Bondi didn't fall for it. When she was pressed about the 2020 election, she refused to be silenced or bullied into parroting the left's talking points. Instead, she kept her composure, and she stuck to her guns. Why? Because she's not there to play their games. She's there to stand up for truth and integrity. And if that makes the left uncomfortable, well, maybe it's time they took a good, hard look in the mirror. Now, Padilla brought up Bondi's appearance in Philadelphia after the 2020 election, where she and Rudy Giuliani voiced concerns about voter fraud. Let me be clear, questioning the integrity of our elections is not only our right as Americans, it's our duty. The fact that Bondi stood by President Trump and demanded accountability in Pennsylvania is something we should respect, not ridicule. The left wants to act like it's some kind of crime to ask questions about how our elections are run. But let me remind you, folks, transparency is the foundation of a free and fair democracy. If there's nothing to hide, why are they so offended when we ask for answers? Padilla loves to throw that 80,000 vote figure around like it's the end of the story. But what he doesn't mention are the countless irregularities that were reported in 2020. Sure, the mainstream media and big tech worked overtime to suppress those stories, but we patriots remember. And we're not going to stop asking questions just because it makes the left uncomfortable. Now, this was the highlight of the entire hearing. When Padilla tried to lecture Pam Bondi about the 14th Amendment, she put him in his place with one of the best comebacks I've ever heard. I'm not here to do your homework. Boom. That's the kind of no-nonsense attitude we need in our leaders. Padilla wanted to make it seem like Bondi isn't qualified because she didn't jump through his hoops. But let's be real, this was never about the 14th Amendment. This was about Padilla trying to score political points by grandstanding. And Bondi, she wasn't having any of it. Now, this is where things really went off the rails. Padilla brought up a quote that Bondi didn't even say and then tried to paint her as anti-immigrant. Let's get one thing straight. Pam Bondi comes from a family of immigrants. Her great-grandparents came here from Sicily, worked hard, and built a better life for their family. The left loves to twist words and create false narratives, but Bondi made it clear. She believes in legal immigration and the American dream. That's what this country is all about, and it's insulting to suggest otherwise. What we saw in this hearing was a classic example of the left trying to tear down a strong, conservative woman. They don't want someone like Pam Bondi in a position of power because they know she won't cave to their agenda. She's not afraid to speak her mind, and she's not afraid to stand up for what's right, even when the media and the Democrats are coming at her from all sides. So, what's the takeaway here, patriots? Pam Bondi is the kind of leader we need in Washington. Someone who's smart, tough, and unafraid to call out hypocrisy. The left can throw all the tantrums they want, but it won't change the fact that Bondi is a fighter. If you agree that we need more leaders like Pam Bondi, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to American Mindset, and share this video with your friends. Together, we can stand up for the truth and keep the American dream alive. Thanks for watching, and as always, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.